So what you're looking at is the beginning of something magnificent, something great. I am in the process of transitioning from what my life was to becoming an artist. And the reason why I am recording this is because I wanted to document the process of what it takes. Seriously, we can be whatever we want to be. We can do whatever it is that we want to do. But where so many people drop the ball is in the area of action, taking action, putting in the work. So being an artist is something that I've wanted to be and do for a very long time. I didn't grow up around influences that would direct me in the way that I needed to go. Had no idea what to do. After graduating high school, I just kind of, I just felt like it was something that could never really happen. And what a man thinks, so he becomes. So since that's the way I thought, that's what happened. I went on to get married, had my children, and it just seemed like a far-fetched idea. Well, thanks to COVID, that idea came back with a vengeance. I just, all of a sudden, that desire couldn't be suppressed anymore. And this time, I am around people who could direct me in the way that I need to go. I am around great influences. I am connected to the people that I need to make this happen. So COVID really got me into the mind frame of, if you don't do this now, then you're never going to do it. So over the last year or so, I have been preparing myself mentally, somewhat physically as well. I've lost a lot of weight. Been working on getting my endurance up because I knew that the type of artist that I wanted to be able to perform and give a show. So, I started working myself up mentally to even being able to put myself out there, because stage fright has been one of my greatest setbacks. I'm afraid to speak in front of people. I'm afraid to, share my creativity with people because there's always also that fear of rejection. So, leading up to now, let me just catch you guys up. So all of that preparation led up to me giving my artist debut performance, where I'm actually officially putting myself out there to the world and letting everybody know, hey, I'm an artist. I knew that I needed to have that debut. I know a lot of artists don't do that. They don't really, whatever. But for me, I needed to make that stand. I needed to make that statement. So my artist debut concert was July 24th, and that was this past weekend. So today's first diary input will be me talking about the experience that I had up until that the day of my artist debut. So where to start, where to begin, man? Oh my gosh. So for my artist debut show, although the date had been secured months and months ago, preparation for it only started 2 weeks prior to the actual date. And everybody was like, even professionals need more time than that to do what it is that you're trying to do. But I was adamant, man. Even if it didn't go off perfectly, I was adamant to put myself out there and say, hey, you know what? My very first time being on the stage will not be mediocre. And man, let me tell you, every single thing that could have happened. I got a real taste for what it's like to be in the industry. Everything isn't always perfect. Everything doesn't always go according to plan. But the greatest performers, the greatest artists are those that can adapt. Those that can shift when things shift and not fumble. Those that can pass the baton, that gets to the end of the race and don't quit. So in the beginning of July, I went to Miami. I had to take a break. I had been on go mode. COVID drained a lot of energy out of all of us. And we took a break. We took a vacation and went to Miami. We got back from Miami and we rested for that weekend. And then, bam, we jumped right into preparing for my artist debut. The first thing I had to decide was what type of experience did I want to create for people. So I had decided to make it a free event. I wanted to get as many people as possible in the room so that, so that, you know, I'll have a good shot at reaching a good number of people. So I made it a free show, and I also decided to have artists open up for me because I wanted to create a vibe, and I wanted to give other artists who, you know, were not well known the opportunity to be presented to my audience. In addition to that, I had invited some VIP guests, not just for myself, but for the other artists, because, you know, again, we put so much into creating, you know, our artistry and masterminding it, and it almost seems like if you don't have money to pay for the connects or to pay to open up the doors, then it's kind of like, how else are you going to get discovered? You got to go viral, you got to have, it's so many things that go into that. So I created a list of really important people to be in there and gave them the opportunity to present their artistry to these people. Some of the people that were inside of the venue was Summer Walker's producer. We had a representative from Beyonce's camp. We had a representative from Ricky Smiley's camp. We had a couple of other people within the actors community. And that's just to name a few. We had a lot of, shout out to Spaceboy Fresh, he came out. So we had people like that were VIP guests that we invited to come to the show. So as we're preparing for the show, within 2 weeks, the biggest thing before we can even begin to rehearse was that my music was not finished. So that first week of those 2 weeks, I had to write and record 4 songs. I had to write and record and mix and master 4 songs in 1 week, which I really did in like 3 days. But those other days I had to write, you know, get the vibe, get the energy. But what I noticed is that, and I've always noticed this about myself, I work great under pressure. Like, I'm one of those, when the light is lit, when the fire is lit under my ass, you know what? It's game time. It's time to go. It's time to do this. So I wrote my music. I have some writers that help write hooks every now and then. But as far as my own personal verses and things like that, I write my own stuff because I want it to be 100% mine. I just don't feel like other people can write, you know, can express my feelings and what I think better than me. So I may have help here and there with, you know, cadence and, you know, word placements and rhythm and all that good stuff. But overall, they are my words. It's how I really feel. They are my real experiences. I knew that I want my music to really represent real shit with me, because it's hard to project and perform something that I don't really feel. So when it comes to having other people write my stuff, you know, it has to be people that has been around me, that knows what I like, that has studied me at some point. Because don't just drop something in front of me and tell me to sing or rap something and it goes against something that I believe. I'm that type of artist. If I don't believe it, I'm not doing it. Don't have me sitting up here talking about something that could be detrimental to our people. I'm not doing it. I'm that artist that's going to take a stand and say nope and stand for something. So I wrote my music, called in the people that I needed to feature on it. We got it all recorded and we got it done. That weekend, all I had to do was map out rehearsals. So shout out to my dancers, Zodiac Dimension. Shout out to all the artists that opened up for me. We had Jada Koo, we had Kiasha, we had Eloi, Big Pop, Instagram Big Pop 214. LA is EL_AYE_music. Kiasha is literally official Kiasha, and Jada Koo is I am JADAKU. And then shout out to Big Site CYFA on Instagram. These are all of the amazing artists that opened up for me. Thank you so much for doing that. Man, I sat back and I got pointers from you guys, and I just kind of watched how you took over the stage, and everybody had their own vibe and everybody was feeling them. So it confirmed something with me. Bring yourself, be yourself. You don't have to be somebody else to pop out. As a matter of fact, when you pretend to be somebody that you're not, and all you do is mimic someone else's vibe, then it gets hard to keep up with that persona. So My dance is Zodiac Dimension. If you go to on Instagram, Zodiac Dimension is ZODIAC_Dimension. We had to pencil in. We only had one rehearsal, like one initial rehearsal to learn the routine, and we were rehearsing for 5 hours. So they caught on quickly. And then I had to pencil in a rehearsal for the girls who had missed the initial rehearsal, which was that Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. My event was that Saturday, so they came in at 11 o'clock Saturday morning to learn what they had missed. And then we had sound check at 3 o'clock. That was it. That's the only rehearsal we had as dancers. Now for me as an artist, I didn't have any rehearsals. I had to literally, like, I had my headphones plugged in. But I wrote my own stuff, but then I had to turn around and memorize it. So that last week, I was spending more time converting my lyrics to memory and attaching it to the feelings that that were present at the time that I wrote it. I had to go back and recall all of those feelings and memories just so that I could articulate what I wrote. So, and then we have a built-in studio and stage inside of our house. So I was using the stage at that point, recording myself to see what I looked like as I was performing. Another thing that I did is I went and pulled up a bunch of documentaries of Beyonce, of Prince, and of Michael Jackson. Live shows, because when I say I wanted to be an artist that performs, well, if you want to be great, go study the greats. So I went and pulled up Beychella. I went and pulled up Michael Jackson's Dirty Diana performance, Remember the Time. I pulled up Prince. I forgot which one it was, where he did the concert inside of his own house. And I watched how they commanded the crowd. In addition to that, I had to create, like, the venue that we were at in Arlington. I'll get to them in a second. The venue that we were at in Arlington, they had it to where for one price, we got the venue for 24 hours. We got a video tech and a sound engineer, and we were able to live stream the show and also project any video content that I wanted to have on the screen while I was up there and in between each of my sets. So we thought that was a steal. Well, the first hiccup, because it seemed like the day of the show was that Saturday, that Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, so many things started happening leading up to that moment. Oh my God, y'all, I just started feeling like, why can't this just be a smooth process? So when we initially went and looked at the venue, they told us that we couldn't have liquor in the building unless we had a permit. So in our mind, we assumed that we needed a permit. In the state of Texas, there are laws and regulations regarding, liquor, and I used to bartend, still have my bartend's license. So, I knew the rules. So I'm thinking, we needed a permit at TABC. So we emailed over the permits. We 3 people on our team had permits. We emailed it over to them, and we're telling all of our guests, that's the part of their tickets. We have Jello shots. We're going to have margarita mixed drinks, food. Shout out to Your Vegan Meals with CK. She's the one that made the burrito tacos with beans and rice and elotes for all of my guests. Man, it was so amazing. The food was great. But, we had already advertised and sold out the show. My show sold out with 31 VIP guests, people that paid to be there and opted out of the free options. But I sold out in 48 hours. And they all purchased their tickets under the premises of they're going to get Jello shots. There's going to be alcohol available. This is a 2-hour show. People are going to need something to kind of loosen up. And it's also going to make all this shit on stage sound better because you're a little tipsy or whatever. That was the goal. So on Thursday, we get an email from the venue person who says that, no, y'all aren't the one that need a permit. We, the venue, needs a temporary permit, and it takes 2 weeks to get one, and it costs $150. Mind you, we booked this venue 2 weeks ago, and you're telling me 2 days prior to the day of my event that what we assumed you were saying, because in the initial email when they said that, it even in that email, it didn't clearly state that the venue itself needed a temporary permit. It just says that you can't have alcohol inside of the building without a permit. It doesn't say who needed the permit. So when they sent that email and said, no, it's an absolute go that the venue is the one that needs a permit, here I go trying to educate them, because they told us we couldn't have it because insurance considers it BYOB. So I had to go and pull up on the state government's website for Texas that there is a difference in providing complimentary drinks and BYOB. I showed them all of this dialogue and everything, and on Friday they email us back and tells us, no, you can't have liquor at all whatsoever, complimentary or not, and if we catch liquor anywhere inside of that building, we're gonna pull the plug on your show while you're up there. Threat number one. Threat number two, if you want us to cancel this event, I'll give you 25% of your deposit back so that you can go somewhere else. Knowing that with only 24 hours to go for this show, that's not enough time for us to find another venue, because had I had more time, not only would they have given me all of my deposit back, not just some, but I would have definitely went to another venue. The only reason we went to the venue in the first place is because of the deal. Like, normally in a venue, when you purchase a venue, you have to pay for the sound man, video tech, and all that separate. So it saved us about $800. So it's one of those things where you got to weigh out your options. Cheaper isn't always better. So for me, I was really bummed and upset because I had bought all this liquor, over $400 worth of liquors, worth of shot glasses, pineapples that we were making the margaritas in. We bought all of this for nothing, just to find out 24 hours before the event that we can't use any of it. And then I had to notify my VIP guests that they weren't going to get what was promised to them. And overall, as far as reputation, perception, it looked bad. It felt bad. I felt terrible about not being able to give my guests what they were promised. So at that moment, it made me feel like, they didn't even care. They didn't care. Like, you could have at least, especially since it's on the state website, legally, you're making people waste money for no reason to go get a permit that they didn't even need. You don't even need a permit to provide complimentary drinks. And then when I booked the venue 2 weeks ago, why didn't you send me the information to where I needed to go and get the permit so that it will be back in time? You get what I'm saying? There was no paperwork on that, so it's a lot of misconstrued information, a lot of misconceptions about what was said, and it just looked bad because it's he say, she say. They didn't have any documentations, anything in writing, and then the threat of I'll pull the plug on your show. It just made me feel away. It's making me feel like I have to use you, and you know it. So at that moment, I had already decided that I was no longer going to use this venue ever again for anything else. They didn't know who we were. They didn't know that we do events every single month. This is something that we do as an organization. And I'm never going to refer anybody to them because it was terrible. But wait, there's more. So on the day of the event, we go to sound check. And actually, we had a rehearsal Thursday night at the venue so that we could do the settings for the sound. And at that point, normally when you go and do the settings, you're supposed to pre-save. You're supposed to save the pre-settings so that when it's time for me to get on stage, all of my pre-settings will dial up, and everything where we fixed during the rehearsal, it's already saved, right? Cool. We have sound check, and again, the presets are there. It sounds great. It's booming. We send over the videos to let him know, hey, because I'm still working on speaking in front of people on stage. I had videos in between each of my performances that talks and creates the mood, and then also gives me a break to go because I had outfit changes. So we get there, and so many different things, little small things were happening. The tables that they had offered us, were super huge and took up half of the space. While they told us that the capacity limit was 100, realistically, it's really like 50. So telling people that they can fit 100 people in there, it would have been extremely uncomfortable. So I was worried about the fact that we sold out, and was really praying that we didn't get everybody to come so that it wasn't uncomfortably crowded and hot. So we get in there and we arrive, and I'm super excited. I'm anxious and nervous at the same time because it's like these 2 weeks went by fast, y'all. I've been praying, I've been fasting, I've been detoxing, I've been, walking around in heels in the house just to make sure I can stand in these heels. Like, I'm really doing my part. I'm putting everything into it. I'm just ready for people to see what I've been working on and to show people that I can do this. I am going to do this. This will happen. Well, the show opens up and they start live streaming. It seems like everything is getting on great. Everybody's set goes by. Everybody absolutely loves the vibes. Of course, people were asking, "Where's the liquor?" Oh, I'm gonna go out to my car and take a shot. Like, it really was hard to stay engaged sober. Because we got food over here and dancing, twerk music, all kinds of stuff. So the first incident that happened is that my DJ arrives late. She was supposed to be there at 7, gets there at 8:30 with no explanation. You want me to pay you? You can't be on time and you didn't communicate that you were going to be late. So again, my squad was literally like, they were doing all the setup and decorations and stuff for me because they didn't want me to worry about it. They wanted me to only worry about getting on that stage and performing. So I'm in the back getting dressed or whatever, getting my makeup done. Shout out to Kirian. Baby came and did my makeup. Had me feeling looking good, girl. And the DJ arrives. And right as we are getting ready, we're getting closer to my set. Big Syph goes up and then actually before Big Syph, we had a guest artist who was in from California. We plugged them in, which kind of extended the show about 30 minutes. And we had a 20-minute intermission between Big Syph, which was the last set before me. And so it was 20 minutes between him and me getting on stage. So the first thing that happens is the DJ goes and asks, "Hey, she was supposed to be there from 7 to 10. It's 10:15 and you arrived at 8:30, which means you owe me 90 minutes. And at 10:15, this person is trying to leave and says, "Hey, are you going to pay me more money to stay late?" And we were like, "No." So she packs up her DJ equipment and leaves. Although you were late, you actually technically still owed us an hour and a half because you were late. Okay, cool. So we pull up a playlist, trying to, everybody's like, "Woo, it's time for Eloi, the avatar, to get on the stage," right? So I'm walking out, I go to the side and I climb up to get on the stage, right? And there's supposed to be an opening video. I sent all these videos over. There's supposed to be an opening video. It's not playing. I'm like, what? What's going on? Where's the video? So they go out there and come back and tell me it's not playing. Okay. So on the screen, you can see where they're on the computer going through files and stuff, selecting videos and doing all kinds of stuff while the screen is there. And I'm like, annoyed. So I'm already flustered that my intro is ruined because it was a message. It was supposed to, spark up a conversation, spark up some thoughts. I had it planned out and it just didn't happen. So my squad is like, "You got this, get up there, do the show." So I get on the stage and I'm posing. The big grand opening comes on. Ding, dun, 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 dun. So I'm here posing and I'm I get ready to go into the middle of my first verse and I turn and you hear the speakers go, "Woo, boo, woo, boo." And I'm like, what in the hell is going on? They can't hear me out there because the speakers are going, "Woo, boo." So when we had our rehearsals though, that happened at that time as well. And he came and did the settings or whatever and fixed it. So if the pre-saved settings had been uploaded, dialed up, then that would not have happened, right? Cool. So at that moment, that's when we realized that the preset settings hadn't been dialed up. So I'm having to adjust and shift around these speakers, right? Look over to the left. My piano player's piano is shut off. She can't play the piano because at some point they shut the piano off and it was not on in time. Okay, still working through the set. Here my background singers come in on the part that they're supposed to come in on the hook. Only one of the 3 mics work. So So all you can hear is one of the background singers. They're not getting the effect of the hook. And I still had to push through. Then my dancers come out in the front to do the little part of the dance routine that they're supposed to do. And two of my dancers in the right and the front completely fumbled the routine. And I'm looking at this and I'm still going. So I start doing the routine with them, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to regroup. My leg, I'm literally like, the anxiety is like, so at that point, I'm like, let me just get through this one song. And I have a video after this. Let me go over here and regroup. So that song passes by, right? And I'm like, yes. I see the video that I sent them come up on the screen. It's supposed to be a video snippet of an interview from Slab Lab TV. Shout out to them that we did. They came out and interviewed me the day before. Well, guess what? The video is playing, but there's no audio. So as I'm over here in the corner, the lights are still up. The lights are supposed to be down so that I can change clothes. Well, they're still up, and I'm trying to change clothes. So one of my from my squad comes up to me and then tells me at that point, they just told me to tell you that the audio doesn't work from the screen. It's only the videos. And I'm looking in the back, and at that point it's like, well, why in the hell you didn't know that when we sent you the videos, when we told you that there was audio on there? You told us that the audio could be played, and now you're telling me that it is not possible for the audio to be played? So at that point, I had to step in and conquer my biggest fear, and that was to talk on the mic, on the stage to people. So I grabbed the mic because everybody's looking like, what in the hell is going on? And my voice is shaking, my breathing is shaking, because I'm like, God damn. So then my friend holds the mic for me. Shout out to Kiasha and Kirion. They're holding the mic for me, and I'm talking to my guests and putting on my shorts at the same time with those shoes on, looking extremely crazy. So I'm talking to them, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's just have an honest moment. This is my big debut. This is something totally new for me. I don't know what's going on with the video, but so let me tell you what's going on in the video. This is what we're supposed to be talking about. I talked about my album, Eclectic, that will be released. I'm sorry, my EP, Eclectic. It will be released in August. I talked about why it's named Eclectic. I talked about the process of me getting to this point. Why was this even something that I wanted to do? What my inspiration was. All of that. So I talked to them while I'm getting ready, and by the time I finished the conversation, I was dressed. So I'm like, let's go ahead and roll out this next song. Hot Girl Anthem. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, I'm on the stage, right? It's a hot girl summer. Then I realize I can't hear the music. I can't hear the track. I can hear a little bit of what's being played out to the audience, but play back to the stage, to the band, it's not, I can't hear it. So man, listen, my tribe is so clutch, man. When they realized what was going on, they started singing the song out there in the audience for me because I couldn't hear it on the stage at all. So we go from that, and I'm trying to recatch my breath because, again, I'm flustered. And I'm saying, and this is not something that I normally get tired. I'm going to rehearse this so many times. I can do this whole song and never get tired. But my voice is shaking because I'm flustered. And I'm like, what is going on? Then all my dancers came out, and we all kind of regrouped, put their mic down, started dancing. So this is where I began to regroup a little bit. And I find out, once again, after this performance, there's supposed to be a video in between the next song so that I can go and change my shoes and my shorts for the next scene. Once again, they don't pull the video up on time. And then when they pulled it up in the middle. So the song after that one is called Controls, where we're talking about BDSM, submissive and dominant and all that good stuff. So the visual that pulls up is a girl in doggy style with a man behind them. So everybody sees the visual and they're like, what is going on? And the video before that was supposed to be the cover song that myself and Kiasha did so that they could see some versatile, energy, so they could see other stuff that we've done. Once again, Nothing. So I had to hurry up, switch my shoes out, get on stage, and start talking to people again and explaining to them. This time, by this time, I'm like, you know what? I shouldn't expect anything that I had planned to go according to plan. So right now, it's time to wing it. It's time to adjust. And that's when my mind shifted. I no longer expected what I had been planning and what I had put into place to happen. I had to, at that point, say, you know what? This is what it is. So I got on stage in my heels. I had on my 7-inch heels. And I started talking to them about my song. I asked my audience a question. I said, how many of you guys love boring sex? How many of you guys are able to communicate to your significant other, when their sex is boring, when you're bored and want to try something new? So we got to talking about sex, because baby, I'm a Scorpio. I love sex. Good sex at that. I am not a woman that is shy or unable to communicate my sexual desires. I refuse to be in a relationship or be in a situation with anyone where the sex is not good. Because if the sex is not good, baby, we are not going to last. Okay? So that's how I'm talking to my audience. And we start to perform Control. Now, Control, it's where all of the energy in the crowd started to change because it was a little bit different. I actually had a chair dance routine with one of my other dancers where we pulled 2 men to the stage, sat them in the chair, and performed on them. So as I'm singing Control, I called my boo thing out from out in the audience and had him come sit on the stage, right? While I'm talking to him and grinding on him, right? And then we do the chair routine. And at that point, everybody's like, woo! Woo! They're doing all the hooping and hollering because, hey, we just performed a routine where we got jumping up on them, they slanging us around, all of that good stuff. I'll post a snippet of the video for you guys to see after this. So after that, my host, shout out to Ifa Boomy, Lala, my baby, that's my baby. She came up there and she caught on that none of the videos were playing. So she knew I needed a break to shift into this next song. So she goes up there, takes the mic, and does her hosting thing. She had them run back one of my songs and had all the girls come up to the front and they twerking and doing their thing, giving me a little bit of a break because I had to perform 6 songs. So after that, after she does what she does, I go on stage and get ready for my my fourth set at this point. I get on stage, the next song is Love and Light. And Love and Light was really sentimental for me because it talks about learning how to forgive people without feeling like you're obligated to have them in your space. But forgive them for you so that you don't prevent yourself from living a full, free life because you're afraid to give anybody else and anything else a chance because you feel like they're going to do what someone else did. So that's what Love and Light was about. And I had this as a duet with my bro, Big Scythe. That went off great, no problems. And then we rolled into the last song, which was my rock and roll song called Burn. And again, we get on stage. Mind you, they didn't have enough mics for us. So we had to share the mic back and forth. Here you go, here you go. It was so crazy. So we get on the stage for the rock and roll song. It's a rock song. And the band can't hear the music. So they start playing it as best as they could. The song kind of gets offbeat, out of timing, because we can't hear the music, but we continue moving forward with it anyway. And once again, my dancers come up to the stage and they're like, woo, to keep the crowd going. But everybody in the audience absolutely loved it. When I say we had an encore, we had everybody standing up, everybody was like, yeah, in my mind, I'm just trying to, stay in the moment because I'm calculating everything that went wrong that they didn't even know was happening because I had to save face. And it was so crazy, man. So at the end of the night, we're cleaning up and the venue people are kind of like at that point admitting to us that they were not really sound. He wasn't really a sound engineer. And the person that was supposed to be running the videos, it was a second person, but they weren't in any of the rehearsals or sound check to even know what was going on or how to do this. So they came for the first time that day and didn't know what the hell to do. So at that moment, I knew, aside from the alcohol thing, the day of my performance, you guys completely dropped the ball. You were not well equipped. you didn't have a sound person, and it showed. You weren't ready. And then we found out that 20-minute intermission between the last artist and my set, they were not paying attention, because I went back and looked at the live performance. They were not paying attention. They did not dial up the settings. So it was completely like we were in rehearsal for the first time with no settings. And also, they never shifted any of the lightings at all. So my routine, that where I'm dancing, there's no lighting at all. It looks like just a couple of shadowy figures on the floor. There's no lighting whatsoever. So overall, you know, I think the event was okay, just because the people, the artists, my squad, we knew how to handle it, we adapted. But my experience with the venue, I won't use them ever again, because you're advertising something that you're unable to give. I feel like they will be well equipped for like pre-recordings of something small, but for an actual production, they are not equipped for it. It was in Arlington, and it was just like a no-go. So that was how the day of the performance went for me. That night, I drove home, and I just kind of reflected on what could have happened, we're making notes of what to do for the next time. Mind you, only had 2 weeks to prepare. And I said, next time I do my show like that again, I'm going to give myself at least 3 months to prepare. I'm going to spend money. Listen, you guys, do not take the cheap route, because you will... you're going to sacrifice the quality of your show when you only care about taking the cheap. Pay for quality. Pay for quality. Please pay for quality. I invest in your sound guy. Invest in your video tech. Invest in your logistics teams. Like, if you don't have the money right then and there, then don't book the show. Save up. Figure out how much it would cost, pay deposits, push it back far enough to where you can pay everything off. But do not take the cheap route for something like that, because the sound and the visuals and all the lighting, it will make or break your show. I had people telling me that the time I was performing, they couldn't even hear what I was saying. So after that, I did take a little bit of time, at home the following day to reflect. But then I had so many people hitting me up, and they were like, hey, I love the show. So I went back and watched the live stream again, only to find out that they cut the live stream off in the middle of the, we had 5 songs, in the middle of the 4th song. So my last song isn't even on there. And it was just, you guys, it was just more and more unrolling after that. So overall, the experience wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. But it was a very valuable lesson for me on preparation, on where to invest the right amount of money, on even not having so many opening artists so that people aren't there for so long, making sure that we're working with people that know the laws, that knows what they're doing. Like there were a lot of lessons learned. I also, my strength was tested, like my ability to adapt, to still, I'm like this, for my first performance, I would have liked this to be completely easy, so simple and easy, but I made it complicated by making it a production instead of just, something that I performed to the tracks on. But at the same time, I didn't start simple. So when I do something simple, it'll be easy breezy. It'll be a piece of cake, right? So yeah, that's my experience for preparing for my very first artist debut. The next show that I have coming up is this weekend, July 31st. Myself and the squad will be opening up for Life Jennings in Tyler, Texas. And I'll do another video documentary of me preparing for that. But yeah, man, I just wanted to come back and, let you guys feel my energy, give you guys some honest feedback, let you know where I stand, what it's like. For those of you who are looking to get into music and you're wanting to do this, come with the right mindset. Know that you're gonna have to put in work. You're gonna have some money to invest where you need to invest in. Do not come looking for a handout. Have something valuable enough to where people will want to get behind it. Sometimes some of y'all think that, oh, I went in the studio and recorded the song, but they never performed anywhere, don't have a social media following, you don't have anything to show that you would be a wise investment, and you come and you're like, hey, listen to my music. And it's so many other talented artists here who has good music too, but what they're looking for is, if I invest in you, am I gonna get my money back? Am I gonna get somebody that knows and understands business? Am I gonna get somebody that, you know, that's going to be available? There's so much more that goes into being an artist than just getting in the studio and recording. Actually, being in the studio and recording, you know, it was the easy part for me. But performing and giving a show is you performing your music and entertaining the audience. So that is, thank you for tuning in to my docu-series, Transforming into Eloi the Avatar. You guys have a fantastic day, and remember, you can be whatever you want to be. You can do whatever it is that you want to do, but you need to make sure that you're ready to put in the work.
It's the hot girl gospel, ladies. Listen, hot girl summer is upon us. Run it up, dip it low, throw it back, like that. Throw that ass in a circle, now step back to the flow. Up and down, left cheek, left cheek, left leg, right leg, now tip drill, hit it ho. Hot girl summer is here, fuck how they feel, they know what it is. Brown skin glistening, with the sundress on, hair and nails in.